Another big problem here is what's called the kind of causal interaction problem. So it seems like on a dualist account, you are your mind and you kind of incidentally have a body. And there's this kind of connection between the two of them. But we also think that this is not just kind of any kind of connection, this is a kind of causal connection. So it seems like the physical world causes your mind to do certain things. So, feelings that you have in your mind are kind of caused by physical stuff. So if you stand on a Lego, then it seems like the feeling that you get in your mind of pain is going to be something that, physical causes mental. And on the other hand, we also think that the causation works the other way. So mental causes physical. So it seems like a lot of the reason why your body does stuff is because your mind decides to do stuff. So choices or will or actions are going to be causally impacting the world. And this seems like a bit of a problem once we start thinking about how exactly that happens. So we have physical laws that kind of govern the world again. So thinking about the law of the conservation of energy. So this suggests that energy can't be created or destroyed. There's a fixed amount of energy in the world, and instead of it being created or destroyed, it's just converted into different forms. But if we think about, especially the non-physical mind trying to create causal changes in the physical world, how does this work? And specifically, how does the mental causally impact the physical without using energy? It seems like if anything is going to change in the world, that's going to require energy at least at some point in the story. But energy is a physical concept, and so or a physical phenomenon, and so we can't have non-physical energy. And so there's a really big kind of open question about how these causal interactions work. What's the kind of process meant to be for how the non-physical mind can cause the physical body to work in certain ways? And this is seen as a really big problem for dualism. And then finally, thinking specifically about this question of life after death, it's my view that this kind of open possibility that people say of, if substance dualism is true, then it's logically possible for somebody to continue living after they die. In my view, this at the moment is kind of undermotivated. So we don't really have enough details about this to see whether or not we think it's plausible. So a question here might be, what would it be like to exist without a body? We saw in the conceivability argument that we considered a moment ago that Descartes thinks that this is something that's at least conceivable, so we could have an idea of it. But it seems pretty difficult to work out what an idea of life without a body would be like. Consider that, all of your sense organs are physical, parts of your body. And so if you were a soul kind of floating about freely, we don't really have very much of a picture of what that would look like. Similarly, existing in space is something that seems reserved for physical objects. So we need some kind of account of what it would be like for the soul to exist on its own or the mind to exist on its own. And it seems like a lot of the time, when we try and think of that, we're going to kind of project physical properties onto that when we're not really allowed to. So this is going to be a bit of a problem. So now that we've considered those kind of problems for dualism, I'm going to kind of leave it up to you guys about whether you think that dualism is a compelling view or whether you're going to go for kind of materialism instead. So the kind of big purpose of that portion of the video is to think about, can findings in the philosophy of mind tell us anything interesting about the question, is there life after death? And it seems like the argument is going to be about whether dualism is plausible, and if so, does this make us any more confident or any less confident that life after death is possible, rather than whether it is or isn't going to be true. So this is something that you can kind of add on to other arguments that you might have.